Deze is Housekeeping Awesome Jeff.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Inside Scoop with Alex and Jeff. I am Alex Dingman.
I'm Jeff Doss. And man, after all of the week of getting all those lefts and rights after our top 25 list, man, I'm all beat up. Geez, it's like all the hate and the man, we've just been taking bombs left, right, and everything. I was, one of the guys who was on our show once called me a legend and then called me a martial arts historian. The next week after that list, called me an idiot and an idiotic, ignorant idiot. Yeah. So, we are ready. We had an awesome week. We should have known what was happening after we did that list. So, all right. So, now I did this and I can't get. There we go. All right, we are ready.
I can't believe you did that. That's why you kept popping in and out. What people don't understand is like what we see sometimes behind the show before we go live is sometimes what we're gonna see. And I'm like, why am I only seeing myself? What's going on? Is this what the show is? We definitely don't want to show it, just me. And then that was hilarious. No, the list. Okay, so the list we did come out with them. Well, we're gonna have some other lists like that in the future that we're gonna do too.
Yes.
So yeah, we did get it. You know what I really loved is I just loved that people wanted to talk about it.
Yes.
Right?
Agreed.
Because it got them sharing things that they wanted. And there was a few things that I'm like, you know what? That's a good point. But I said it real time. My list was my list, but I said it real time when we were on the show. I have AP too low. I said that, right?
Yeah, what?
That I had Anthony Price too low.
Oh, right. Well, so the thing is that I've gotten a lot. I mean, even like today, it's been a week, and Jamad Wiggins put out his list today, and other people put out their list today, and there were so many people that have been putting out lists, and it's really cool. But the thing, I got texts from people and saying, how could you leave this person off? And I'm like, okay, but how can you who are you going to remove to put this person on? That's
right.
Always right. And it's just fun. But man, there were just some people that it's so funny. And then the whole thing of, I just laugh when someone complains about it, but then can't make up a list of 25. Like, you know what, go on and do it yourself, or that someone says, here's my list, but I'm not going to put it in order. So like, again,
that's the hard part.
That's the hard part. So yeah, but we had a great time and we will come out. The thing that's always funny is like people that watch the show kind of listen to the show, got our feedback on it and understood why we had this or that. But most of the people just saw the post that said the top 25 in our list. And then, so they don't really get the context of our conversation. So for you to really understand, what was going through our brains, things like that, go listen to the show, check it out. But yeah, it was a great time and a great show. And, keep them coming. We will do a women's list in the future, but guys, that was a all male list. All right. And again, the reason why it was because off of the topic we had the week before, right? About Bailey. So we said, all right, well, let's go from here. So when we get to that context with the women, we will make that work. So,
yeah, because I remember you gotta read all of it, and sometimes we're just so quick and reactionary. But Kelly came out with it right away. He's like, "What? No Nikki Carlson Lee?" And I'm like, "Yeah," because she obviously is going to be high on everyone's list, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, which is exciting because then you start talking. The top 5 is not the hard one. The top 10, that can be different.
Yeah.
When you got a list 25,
yep,
and then you got to really dig, and you got to dig deep, and then you go, ooh, did I leave? Okay, so like here's one that really made me think. And Stephen Jones brought up a good point
Oh,
with
right.
Robbie McMenemy. And I was honest in the time. It 100% Robbie McMenemy slipped my mind.
Yeah.
Then I started thinking about it, and I'm like, Robbie McMenemy, he is the most decorated fighter from the country of Ireland. 100%, right?
Right.
He's the best. He's not only the most decorated, he's the best from the country of Ireland. In a good fighting country, too, by the way.
Mhm.
So it's
Right.
not like he's like
Yeah.
the best.
No, they always had a solid group. Yeah.
So, yeah. So he's the most decorated, but he's also had a lot of really good wins that
Mhm.
that really kind of sway things in his direction are who his wins were against, and what it's almost like you had to know about it in the time, or you had to watch it. So I think like he had like in Zolt's prime, he
Yeah.
beat Zolt in
Yeah.
the world championships in a 3-round fight where it's like you can't just like get hot, like you got to
Correct.
really win. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And so that's where
Yeah.
it's like, and I think he beat him in like consecutive world championship years too.
Yeah. I think
So
so.
you go, all right. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
because Zolt would definitely be on that list, right?
Right.
He dominated in, I don't want to say an era. He dominated a period, right? In a couple of few countries, right?
Yeah.
So for him to kind of put that guy out, and he was the guy at that time, I mean, you can't just turn your nose up at it. But I don't know who but that's the thing is like,
Yeah.
maybe
Yeah, I mean, there's so many ones that could have been added, a lot. We saw Willie being asked about, Scorpion Barrage, Brian Ruth, that Jody should have been higher, lots of things like that. So, I mean, it incites a lot of healthy and fun debate. So let's keep it going. All right. So before we move on to some of our events from the weekend, we'll get to that later. There was definitely some big tournaments of the weekend in Florida and also Wisconsin. So we're going to get into our topic, and we're going to invite Mama Doss, my mother. All right.
Doing good.
Good evening. How are you feeling?
Great.
Great.
Fantastic.
I just
I'm
saw
ready
you.
for y'all guys.
Uh-oh.
Oh, wait a minute. I didn't ask. I got to ask you, how your Mother's Day was. But Jeff, did you get to see your mom on Mother's Day?
I saw her at church. Yes, I did. I saw her
Yeah.
at church.
We had pictures made.
Yes, we got a picture together. So,
Yeah.
and then I just saw her recently. She came into the karate school today. So my nephew does sport karate class, competition class, and regular class, and private lesson today. So yeah, so lots going on. All right, so we got Conroy already chiming in.
Oh, boy.
Yes.
Hey,
Well,
Coach.
we will share some stories about that soon as we go. And your mom is
In the chat.
Yes.
She won't be here to tell the story, which I don't know, maybe it's better. But Ma, I got a story about you that you've probably never heard this story that I'll tell later. But it's
That's
good.
awesome.
It's good. It's a good one.
Okay, good. Good.
All right. So Mama Doss, again, a lot of people call you Mama Doss or later on. I don't even know when that really started because I'm trying to remember that. I feel like that was more of after we started our karate school. I don't think that was.
No, it was before. It was
Okay.
before. It was years before, because even when we were with the team, they called me Mama Doss. But then before then, Preston and all them in the area here, when I sold stuff and had Robin's stuff, they called me Mama Doss.
Okay. All right. So let's go into that since you already talked about that. So Robin's Nest, explain what that was. And also for a lot of people that don't know, like how that really changed things in the sport too.
Yeah. Well, when you're trying to be a parent and you're trying to get your child to events, it costs money. So I came up with that Century and Asian World only had equipment, and that I knew the biggest thing that would sell is toys, martial art toys, jewelry, and gifts. So I ordered like the mask for the three ninjas. I bet I sold probably 3,000, 4,000 of those
Yeah, I think
over
so.
the years.
So,
Fans that would click, make that loud noise. Anything that jewelry that was a necklace that said Karate Mom, or any that was in gold. And then I do sterling silver stuff. So I set up my table at tournaments. I started locally and then I went national. So now, of course, I made money. So I worked during his competition, but I had people constantly coming up and buying. So then Asian World and Century got smart. They started buying that stuff and doing it.
Yeah.
Because they saw it was definitely something you could sell.
yeah, I remember the one when we went up to, like, anytime we went up to Ocean State in New England, there was a company called Ninja World that
Yes.
set up out there. And
Mhm.
I remember you went up there, I think it was either 94, 95, the first time you went up there. And then that next year they had all that stuff.
All that
Or,
stuff.
or
right.
actually it was you set up at Rhode Island, and then the next month later we were up there in New England and they had all that stuff. They
And
got
they
they
had
figured out that fast.
They picked up on it. Yeah. So
Yeah.
Wait a
I
minute.
did that
So-
for years.
Yeah.
You
So
know,
basically all
at
the stuff that
Bluegrass
we would
in
see
Atlanta.
in like the back of Black Belt magazine, like all those novelties.
Yeah.
You
novelty.
started all that essentially.
I mean, I got it going where people wanted it. Kids were constantly around my table, and every parent knew when you have a child and they win something, what do you say to them?
I'll get you something.
I'll get you something, right?
That's
So they come to my table and they get something,
I would 100% do the same thing.
right?
Oh,
don't
yeah.
you?
And then you know what? But here's what I would do though, because I'd want to get them excited. This is on the parent side of it.
Right.
And I was, listen, we're here to compete, but let's walk around. Let's have a good time. If you really kill it, I'll do something great for you. You do something,
Right.
you do great out there, I'll do something great for you.
Right.
Let's look at what you might have as an option. And then they
Yeah.
start looking, and then they
Right.
start getting excited. Right?
Right.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's cool.
And that's what I had done with my children,
Right.
with him in court. I had, they do something, I'd get them something. Well, it just became some way that I could make enough money to pay for our hotels, to pay for our trip. And, that worked.
Mhm.
So it worked for me.
You did it from, I'm thinking 92 was the first time you set up, and that was at Master Arthur's tournament, I think,
Yeah.
at the after banquet in Lynchburg. And then literally in 93, I feel like we were gone every weekend to,
Every weekend.
to a local
was-
tournament.
yeah.
And then DC, Capital Classics and Battle of Atlanta were the big ones we did.
Right.
and
And Bluegrass.
And then Bluegrass started 94 when I really started doing NASCA. And was it, when you stopped, was that 97 or 98, do you think, when you
I
stopped?
think it
doing
was 98.
Because I think you did a few still in 97 when we were on Elite.
Mhm.
And then you realized you couldn't do
Yeah,
both
I couldn't do both. Right. Right.
of being the manager. We'll get to that in a
But-
second too.
Alex, is really funny because, like, when I'd go to Las Vegas and set up, I'd take 6 large suitcases, the biggest ones I could get, full of stuff, so I wouldn't have to pay shipping. It was cheaper then to do it in the airport,
Yeah.
Take those.
Now it's opposite.
Opposite now, yes. But I would take those with us and have all my stuff, pull it out.
Yeah. The big thing I remember that everyone in my division got was the yin yang pendants, because they were like, had leather, like almost like a choker, but it was like leather necklace with the yin yang, and all of us had it, and that was the popular thing for a while. And then we had everything yin yang around the house.
Yin yang rings.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
I mean, it was earrings, everything that could have it.
What
had
would you
teddy bear.
say were the top 3 like items that you sold?
One I brought on the show one time years ago, but yeah.
Well, one was the ninja mask for the 3 ninjas.
Yeah. Everyone.
Those were, oh my goodness, they sold.
Yeah.
The other was probably I'd say probably either fans or what did you bring on the show?
Oh, I'd say the ninja, the hand fighting.
Oh, yes,
Yeah,
that was great. And then I couldn't get them anymore.
Yeah, the boxers. So remember, I brought them on the show one time, and it was like almost like a puppet, but you would put your fingers in here, and they would fight each other, and they were ninjas.
Cool.
Fighting each other.
Oh,
Yeah,
they were so great.
but the
I
best
found
part.
many of them I couldn't get them anymore.
Well, yeah.
But it was funny who was under them.
Right. You took the
Character,
mask
'cause
off, and you had like Rocky. You had Sylvester Stallone. You had Hulk Hogan. You had Spiro
Nixon.
Agnew.
Had
Yeah,
Nixon.
Spiro
was
Agnew,
crazy.
all these crazy things. There was one more that was Mr. T. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
So that was a fun one.
That was a big one. Yes.
Fans were definitely big, and I mean, again, it wasn't super. I mean,
Jewelry was
was
really
good,
big.
yeah,
Because I
Junior-
mean, you could sell jewelry. The men like the rings, the yin yang rings.
Yeah.
Everything was sterling or either gold.
Yeah.
And 14 karat. It just depends. So I had and I think it's funny. Let me tell y'all. Sunday I was going through my jewelry drawer and I found a little box, and inside of it is all the yin yangs that I had left that are still there. I couldn't believe it. And chains, because I had sterling silver chains, and I needed one to fix Langdon's necklace. So I used one I had.
All right, so
Of course,
We
Cole.
still have that.
yeah. So, Mom, let's get into what got me into martial arts and any stories that maybe I haven't told, or and also like I'd share the one big time about my first tournament and how that really sticks out, how I still remember that. But from your perspective of that, what was something, why do I still do this, or why did you continue, support it?
Support it. Everybody in our area plays baseball, football, or basketball.
Yeah.
Basketball.
Right.
In your area, Alex, it would be hockey, right?
Yeah, but I was the one guy who didn't play club hockey.
Well, Jeffrey's the one guy that didn't the other sports. And I'll be frank, Jeffrey was great at karate, but boy, he was not good on other sports. Okay.
No.
Wait, did you
So-
have any other sport that you were like, all right, this one was pretty cool, but I just want to focus on karate?
Not really.
Oh, probably
I
wrestling he liked.
I
Well,
was just going to say it's
yeah,
probably
yeah.
wrestling.
Wrestling later on, but I waited a long time before I
Long
did that.
time,
I
yeah.
kind of wish I started that earlier. I really loved basketball. I was a big fan of basketball, but I wasn't that great at
Yeah.
basketball.
No, too short. But yeah, when he started, he kept with this wrestling stuff, WWF. I mean, just all the time. So Ricky Steamboat was that person. Well, around here, when you take somebody to a martial arts studio, they are older. Nobody's 4 years old. And so when we took him, the first place we took him was to Master Arthur's. And he said, I can't take him as a student because I have nobody else his age. I said, okay,
Yeah.
I'll go find somewhere. I found a place that took him, but it was a basic.
Yeah, it was at a dance school.
Yeah,
Carol
it was
Rick,
at a dance school, in fact, but they took him.
Yeah.
But so from then on, you could see his love of it, and you could see how he wanted to continue with that. Okay. It wasn't something that, mom wants, daddy, of course, wanted him to play baseball, wanted him to, he wanted him to do the stuff that he grew up thinking about,
Yep.
You know how that goes. Fathers, it's a male thing. Okay. But he kept on, and that was his sport. And I recognized that. And so to me, that's what he was going to succeed in.
Yeah.
Mm.
Now, as far as I went to my first tournament very early. And again, I don't remember much about competing, but the thing that I tell everyone that you did that still stands out to me is that you took me to the finals of that first tournament. And, that I still remember some of those performances,
Yes. Yeah, you know, there's a lot of things that parents don't realize in this sport is that you to know the sport, you've got to look at some of these greats. You got to look up to somebody. We do that in every other sport. And in karate, people don't do that. Parents don't say, oh, and a lot of it is because they don't understand it. Okay. So they need to look up and have these people that they look up to when they're younger, because that way they will do a lot better and they will continue to improve if they have that to look up to. No.
That
Yeah.
and that's also, we are our own audience in this
Yes, exactly.
activity and sport as well. So that is actually the same thing. Like I was pointing my finger saying, yes, that's the same thing that like my dad did as well.
Mhm.
Is he was like, let's go try this Diamond Nationals thing. I was like,
Right.
oh, they have like a tournament like in the nighttime. Let's go check that out. That was how I got exposed to a tournament at that level for the first time. I
Mhm.
think I've been in karate like 6 months, right?
Right.
Maybe not even that. Not even that, right?
Yeah.
4 months.
And that's the whole thing. I mean, in football, you take them to the football games. You take
Right.
them to their college that, you know, there's always something. Baseball, you take them to the big games. So, but in karate, you need to go to those nighttime finals.
Right. And then my mom just
Mhm.
chimed in. What's happening, Mom?
Yeah. go
Um,
ahead.
but she said normally it's their instructors that they look up to, but then that's so isolated. You
Mhm.
know,
Yep.
you can have Mr. So and so, Ms. Yada da da, and Sensei D da D. But then to say, well, you see them all the time, and you should have a healthy respect for them. But to
Right.
say like, there's like, okay, like for me, here's one that like I'll never forget the way I saw him the first time, which was Akeem Alston. All right.
Oh,
And I
Yeah.
remember at the time thinking like, this guy's a giant, right? And then as I got older, I'm like, that was just because I was so little.
Yeah, yeah. I
No,
know.
he's still a giant,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, he's still a giant.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
'Cause, I remember
Yeah.
the last time I saw him was probably like 2016 or something like that. I said to him, I'm like, man, when I got older, I thought maybe I just thought you were such a giant because I was so young. Nah,
Yeah.
man, you're that dude, right? And he's
Yeah.
still ripped up too.
He's still
right?
big.
Yes, he
Yeah.
is. Yeah. It was
Yeah.
2015 at Battle we saw him, remember?
That's what it was. 15. Okay, yeah. So
Yeah.
it was 10 years ago. Man, look at that.
Gosh. Well, yeah, and that's the thing. Your instructors, yes, you're to respect them and you get a lot of knowledge from them, but to have expectations that you want to grow, you sometimes have to go out of that safe zone and step out of it and get that extra.
Especially if, say, the instructor either doesn't compete anymore or
Right.
doesn't necessarily support it, or it's just like, again, back then there wasn't like YouTube where we can go and look up videos of your
Sure.
instructor and stuff, so it's a
Right.
little bit different, right? So and that was one of the things growing up there at first. Well, our school was big into tournaments and then it stopped. And that was where I met John Valera, and that was where he became my sport karate coach, right?
Mhm. Right.
And just explain that to people about traveling an hour to here or there, and the commitment, not just on my end but your end.
Well, that's just one of the other steps of you spend that money to get the training. And to do that, you're not going to find it sometimes right at you unless you live in a big city somewhere or something, But we were lucky enough that we got up with John, and that became a trip. And it was a hour trip there, hour 15 minutes, hour and a half, probably about an hour and a half from where we are now. I mean, from where we were.
Yeah.
The roads have gotten better. But that was something that we made a big bond with the family, and it was something, I mean, Cord loved going too. I mean, it was something we got excited about because that was something we knew was going to help Jeffrey, So I think a lot of times we just have to look outside the box and not be so closed-minded. It's really hard. In our area, karate was not something anybody talked about.
Right.
When he was going, and then why was he able to leave school? Why was he being able to leave school and go do this? And that was a big deal to his classmates. I mean, people are cruel. Kids are cruel. Okay, they can be really mean about, oh, yeah, right, you're a karate, yeah, And thank goodness Jeffrey wasn't a mean kid, but he wasn't real outgoing as his mother and brother are. But he was, it worked. But over at times it was hard. It's
Right.
hard when you're in an area like that.
Yeah, it was, a little difficult on things like that. And again, just that extra that people don't get, because again, for us, it was 30 minutes just to the karate school back
Just the
then,
karate
maybe more. And
More.
then you're talking about another hour and a half on. I mean, at one point it was probably every weekend for a while until we went to a lot of tournaments, and then
Right.
we didn't have that anymore. But yeah, I mean, there were so many different things when it came to that. As far as when we got into let's say the NASCA circuit and
Mhm.
stuff, what are some things? And also even Brett had said, wasn't there like a parent's guide to the martial arts, and that you were a part of it? You were a part of it by pretty much letting who was it, Fran Unlin, who created this book, to kind of help break down the rules, right? And for like the parents to understand. And you had her let her set up with you at the booth.
At the booth at Robin's Nest. And so we would use that when, you have parents that come up and ask you questions all the time. And so you need to be able to sometimes say, here's a reference. Use this book and you'll learn and you'll understand things a little better. That was a fantastic book.
It's like so basically it was like a hey, you're about to enter this world of national, martial arts competition. Here's the handbook.
Right. Here's the handbook. Because you know what? They didn't give, we didn't have anything. I mean, it's the same way now too. I'm sorry, but right.
Yeah.
Correct. You don't have anything that's handed to you saying, hey, parent, this is how it's going to go.
Right.
There's so many things about karate tournaments that are just like the nostalgia actually doesn't leave. Like, remember those days when you just had to figure it out on your own? Yeah, it's still the same.
Still the same. Exactly.
Actually, things were easier back then. I remember you remember those UTK like rule books?
Yeah.
They were everywhere. Like every tournament you go to, you just see that little like light blue or teal book like everywhere. You just see them all around. You don't see no rule book nowhere.
You don't see a rule book anywhere. No.
Right.
And that's the thing. Parents, it's a hard thing stepping into a martial arts studio. I mean, even as a parent, you're walking into a room that all you've heard and seen in your life is that martial arts are on TV. They're doing this, they're doing that. And then you're going to this tournament that they're doing all kind of things. And it's intimidating to a lot of parents. Very intimidating,
Yeah, because they don't know what's going on. And then, all right, so you compete so we can go and go do this. I want to hit them all on the way out,
Yeah, exactly. That's what it is. Instead of staying for that nighttime.
Right,
and
right.
That was a big with on our elite team I was an enforcer.
Yes.
Jason Borelli will tell
your
you.
role was like team manager, right?
Yes. I was team manager. And to enforce to those guys, I mean, you got to remember, at one time I had 28 of them. 28. And most of them were young, smart mouth guys. Okay. But boy, they didn't smart mouth me very many times because I stuck to my rules.
Yeah. It made my
life. I
life
was half the size of any of them.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. That was interesting. That was an interesting time with the team.
Yeah.
Again, we started with Team
so
Elite, and then it changed to CJB. Yeah, it was a fun time. So many people hear stories about the team and are just like, dude, I heard that's the team. That was the best team to be on. I want to hear this. I want to hear that. I want to hear about Conroy. I want to hear about Spencer. I want to hear about these things.
Right.
share just how, I guess, really just meeting Spencer and how that connection happened. And also, if you remember, like actually being asked about being the manager too, because that was way later. Some people, of course, again, like you said, kids are cruel. There are a lot of kids. Oh, well, the only reason why you're on the team is
It's
because.
because
Yeah, I was on the team a year and a half before that.
Right.
happened.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. We traveled. For us to travel from where we were, we have to fly into Charlotte or fly into DC or fly into Philadelphia was where we mostly flew into.
Yeah.
And
In Pittsburgh.
right. Huh?
It's Pittsburgh. It was Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. That's right. It was Pittsburgh. Yeah. But we would end up seeing Spencer.
Yeah.
Him and Gerald would be together.
Gerald and Mallory too. Those three.
And Mallory. Yeah. They'd all be together and we'd see them and I talk and I, visit with everybody and bring up stuff. And we just became really close friends.
Yeah.
And he loved Jeffrey. I mean, he just loved Jeffrey. They just hit it off. All of them did. And, they asked him to be on the team. And I was thrilled. I felt like he accomplished what we needed to accomplish. It was our next step we needed. And it was great.
Explain that more. So I had been doing NASCA from 94 and I finished second. 95, I won my title. This was at the end of 96. So again, for those first 3 years of competing, I was representing myself or my school. I had a plain uniform, and it wasn't like, I was representing myself and I was being successful at a certain level to get to that point, right? I wasn't winning grands yet, but I'd made a lot of night shows. I won a lot over high level people. So right now the thing is, okay, well, the first thing people ask before joining NASCA is, well, how did I get on a team? Well, okay,
that's the first thing they ask.
Yeah, and that's question. Like just get in there and make your own name. The team will come, and when it is time, it'll be the right one. And here's the deal: it was the right one because it was a great sponsorship. It was a great team and great support. Like you had said with Spencer and Gerald and all those guys.
Yeah, all of them. It was extremely close team.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that was our communication. We had a lot of communication between all of us, which made it really nice. Really, really did keep it going good. And then he asked me if I'd be interested in managing it. And I said, yes, I'd love it.
Why did you love it so much?
Because I love the guys. I love going to tournaments. I loved just the whole atmosphere.
Right.
I can't fake that.
I mean, I just loved it. And I mean, anybody that saw me there knew I was having a good time.
Right.
I was enjoying what I was doing. Whatever I helped
definitely the person
scoring,
that's awesome.
When you help with scoring, I would help any way I could at any tournament. And there isn't any of them that couldn't say they knew I was there. They knew, well, she'll go help. She'll help. She'll fix this up. She'll find somebody. If you need another judge, tell Mama Doll. She'll go find one.
Right. And even like years later, when we went back to the US Open, you were still doing that and you hadn't been to NASCA.
I'll never forget that.
Yeah.
Whoa, speak on that.
It was so funny because
I have a feeling it wasn't actually funny.
Dottie White was one of the judges. Yeah, Dottie White was one of the judges.
Dottie White was judging. She's a center, and she comes over to her table, and the scoring wasn't done right or something. I can't remember what. Or no, setting up the fighting. Right. And she says, well, Mama Dawson's over there. She'll set it up for you. Now, I hadn't been to a tournament in years, right? I mean, it was like, what's the pressure on me?
Yeah, I'm thinking it was like 7-8 years. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, whoa, I got some pressure now. I got to do it, which I did it. I set it up for her, but it was so funny. She just figured, she'll do it. She'll know how to do it.
See, I love hearing that because that's a great compliment, especially coming from someone like Dottie White.
Oh, yes.
The cynic in me goes, what? You just assume that I'm going to bail you guys out? Your poor planning became my burden. You know?
Right.
It's the cynic in me says that, but that is a good. It is a good compliment.
Yeah. I mean, at times, I mean, I helped. There isn't there's not a tournament I didn't go to that I didn't help at. They knew
Right.
I would.
And a lot of people that's what some people, let me do that right now. So Micah just said he wants to thank you for all the hard work you did for the NBL over many years. You know, you didn't just work hard at my tournament, but you did it for the whole league and everyone's tournament. So thank you. And then Albeda says,
This one's
I apologize for any part of the incident on stage at Grand Slam.
Thank you. I needed that apology.
Oh, man. Oh, man. Here's a good one. So, from experience with Mama Doll's locks eyes with you from across the room, you knew you were going to judge. You can't avoid her. You have no idea. She gets across the room so darn fast.
This is true, Brett.
Yeah.
I mean, people didn't tell me no. I mean, I just went about it the way I knew that I would want them to be part of something. And I pushed that through the whole time that, parents don't just sit back and don't get involved. The more you do, the more you understand.
Right.
You understand what the whole thing is,
And I think for us at our school is when we had our tournament, our parents at that time really understood that, and they volunteered our tournament that got them into that, but also they volunteered every tournament because they understood, okay, they understand now more about this. Right. And I know now without having the tournament, I'm like, man, I really need to have a tournament so they understand what it's like, because it's hard when you don't, those ones that really help and come from schools that have tournaments, they get it differently. They're not about everything. They understand, hey, there's some issues.
There's some things parents need to realize, don't complain about. That's a martial arts tournament.
Okay, like what?
Like sitting for hours. Don't tell me that when you go to gymnastics tournament show
Track.
or
Wrestling is really bad.
Track, anything, you sit.
Right.
Wrestling
You sit.
Wrestling was just as long as a karate tournament. Remember that, Mom, when we went to
it was.
Actually, in some ways, wrestling is worse. Actually, no. Here's what I'll say, because I've been a part of them as well, and I'm also on the other side of the others as well. So now I can be also in the mindset of parents who don't know about martial arts tournaments. They only know what they experience. Now I'm experiencing what they experience at that same time. Here's the gripe with karate tournaments, that I can now see what they see. It looks like there should be something going. It looks like, well,
Right.
All the time.
there's a ring right here.
Right.
There's a ring right here. Why are you asking for judges? That doesn't make sense.
Right.
It's right here. Put somebody in it, right? That doesn't make sense, because like a wrestling tournament or like everything else, there's like 4 like mats, right?
Yeah.
Maybe, 4 to 6
And
mats.
one judge in each mat.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
But
one
going into it, this thing's going to take a long time, because your eyes can see this thing's going to take a long time. The downside of karate tournaments is you look and you go, there's 30 rings.
Yeah.
How in the world could this take 2 days?
Right.
That's what doesn't make sense to them.
Right.
Oh, yeah, it doesn't. I think that's why I get so aggravated that why aren't they starting this ring? I can get it started. Why can't they get it started? I can go find them judges and I can get scorekeepers in there and we can start it. But I think, and that would make me want to do it more,
Right.
Yeah.
So Mom, explain maybe or share one fun story from the CJB Elite days. I know there's so many, but
Oh my God.
or just something or actually, we could answer this one question. How many times did you find Jason Tankston Borelli? That's a great one. Because he even mentioned that on the show when he came on.
He got fined a lot. But you know what? It's just like discipline your child. If you discipline them, they love you more.
Yeah.
And Jason loved me more because I disciplined him. He got a lot of fines.
And it was silly stuff too, because like where
Yeah,
he would
just-
just cancel his flight or not go or
Right.
change his
Or
flight last
just
minute. Yeah.
Be late when he knows he shouldn't be late for a meeting. Just be late. Well, I was just talking to somebody, or I was just, he
Yeah.
always had an excuse.
That was true. He was really good at the stories.
Yes, he was.
Stories. And again, just there were just so many things with CJB that were great. And again, we could do a
I'll
whole
tell you,
show on that.
Alex, we went on a cruise. Okay.
Oh, I've heard so many stories about this cruise.
So this cruise has nobody married but me and Roy. We're the only married people.
Yeah, my dad.
Wait, was this a carnival cruise?
Yeah, I think it was, wasn't it?
That makes it even better.
Yeah, it was.
So they all single. Cord and Spencer's son were the youngest.
Okay.
But those boys he was just 17
Yeah,
or 16.
17.
Yeah,
I was
17.
17.
Ooh,
And
you were
so-
court.
Me.
No, he
I
was. Cord was 12.
Right.
Yeah.
So you were
So-
just old enough to get in trouble.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty
Yeah, he was
much.
old enough just to get in trouble. Yeah. But to go on a cruise with 28 people, with all these people that are single, can you imagine?
And what year is this? Was this like 2002, 3,
01.
2001? Oh man,
2001. Yeah.
you couldn't have told me nothing.
Oh, it was
You
absolutely
couldn't have told me
crazy.
nothing.
And they
I
were
knew no matter
having
what
the
would
best
happen.
time. The
We hit
best
that.
time. And
I'd
all
be
the
in trouble.
girls, there's a bunch of foreign girls on the thing.
It was, yeah, well, me and Leroy's, we found the group of, apparently it was like a Sweet 16 for all these Brazilian girls. So they did like there's like 20 or 30 of them, okay? And they all went on a cruise to celebrate. I was like, wait a minute, all you have the same birthday? No, they just decided this is what they're doing for their 16th thing or whatever. I'm like, good God, it was wild.
So where they
Yeah, to make it through that
Yeah.
was difficult.
from? Ooh,
It was.
that's
I'm sure
unbelievable.
that was difficult, Mom.
I'm sure Roy said never, ever, ever again.
Oh,
Yeah.
So as far as I wanted to get back just to like, what is something that as far as when joining the NASCAR circuit, what was, or maybe even a tip that maybe you'd give parents as far as to, to encourage them, maybe, or also just to, because again, let's say it, I'm a success story when it comes to this because someone who's still doing this now and loves it, right? There were a lot of people when I started, there were some of the highest level people that burnt out, and not even burnt out, like don't even want to talk about martial arts now because of a bad relationship that maybe their parents pushed them too hard or were very negative on it. And we saw that a lot growing up, especially in that time, that early 90s, right?
Yes, a lot.
Yes.
A lot. And I mean, my biggest thing is you as a parent to guide this child in this martial arts world and NASCAR, you have to
And
remember
NBL.
Huh?
And we did
NBL. Oh yeah,
lot of
NBL.
NBL.
A lot
we
of
did a lot- yeah,
it.
yeah.
You've got to be positive. I mean, it works in every sport they're in. Every sport it works that way. Don't keep it's just like when your kids go to school and you don't talk about their teacher bad in front of them. Because if you do, they're not going to like their class. They're not going to want to go to school for that teacher. So you have to be positive and you have to look at, wait a minute, this is not that important. We'll get over this. We'll go to the next stage. But one of the things parents, when they walk into these big tournaments, they need to introduce themselves to people. They need their children, introduce their children to people.
Yeah.
Make it so when you go, we had people we were meeting, friends. I mean, We had people we were meeting and hadn't seen them in a month, to another tournament. And we were excited. I mean, these were his best friends.
Yeah.
And me and Jenny,
Jenny Marks.
oh my gosh, we were crazy.
Casey. Yeah.
Okay. And those are things that made it work. Okay. It's meeting them, interacting with people, and being positive.
Right.
Yeah.
And you know what, like it's funny because you were one of the only, there was another one, Darlene Tello was the manager at the time for JPM, and you were the manager for CJB. The other teams didn't really have that.
No.
And I think that's what helped, everybody stay, like both of our teams stay where we were at the high level, because the coaches could be the coaches.
Right.
And
I
then
could do the other stuff, and they didn't have to worry about finding people or whatever, getting after people. I mean, they didn't have to worry about that, and that was important because their job was to coach.
Exactly, and sometimes too, and I see this just as like sometimes it's everyone needs to play their role, and some of our roles needs to be something else, more of a positive side, and we need someone a stickler for the rules, right?
Right.
And I tell you, when you stopped doing it at the end of 2001, I know Coach was like mad because it added more to his plate, and it made it really hard those next few years. And there were some people that helped out and things like that, but it was hard to have that go from that structure to not. So
right, yeah,
so definitely.
That's true.
And I think teams need a manager. Think about that, not just as a coaching staff, but someone to kind of manage different things, details, rules, that type of stuff, fines if there is that,
And expectations.
Yes.
I had expectations that this has to be, that uniform has to be looking like this. I'm not going to take no for this. You're going to wear it the way it's supposed to be worn.
Right. And I mean, I remember people didn't like our Creative Forms uniforms because they weren't black. We used like a white and red one year, and people didn't like that and kind of fought against that. And then eventually, we changed later on, but it's like, hey, this is what we decided because we want to stand out, look different,
Right.
Yeah. So anything else that you could think of as far as that one more story or something before you go? I mean, we could go on and on. I mean, and we're really just kind of talking about the competitor side. We didn't really get into too much of putting on tournaments and coordinating and all that stuff.
Right. Right.
But yeah.
Just Jeff, just as I've said, get to know the promoters, get to know them. They need that just as much as you do as a parent and as a competitor. Introduce yourself to people.
Right.
In martial arts, you're taught to respect and show respect. Well, do that the correct way, which is introduce yourself to those that are ahead, that are in charge, and make it so they recognize you. And I'm not saying that because that makes it better on you. I'm saying it because as a parent, you want your child to see that these are steps people have taken and what they've done over the years. And this is what, if they love this sport, they need to look up to. Okay.
Right.
You're not going to agree with everything. You're not going to agree with the rules. You're not going to agree with how the tournaments ran. You're not going to agree with what might be happening on the floor.
Right.
Or how it happened before they've even got to the tournament, and I think I see this more now, and even though I'm not there all the time, but from hearing things, is that they're not consistent. And it's something that's been pushed forever. Forever it's been pushed. Be consistent. That's all we ask. It is fair to everyone to be consistent in your rules and your expectations.
Right. Definitely. All right, I have one more thing that actually a story that I do want you to share because it's just from your side. It's kind of crazy. And then I'm sorry I kept you on a lot longer, but what do we what do you expect?
Oh, yeah. What do you expect?
This one is my fault, not Alex's fault. Who who would have known, right? Then
That's actually pretty funny.
all right. The dang. All right. So I want to talk about that one, but then there was one more thing. So is there a tournament that maybe you'll be at soon? Because Leanna's like, man, you got to bring her to battle, and you're gonna be gone traveling
I'm
battle.
going to be gone to
I'm
Wyoming.
trying to get Cord and Leitner and stuff to go there, but
I know it.
think you may. I don't know. I know for all of our team is going to be trying to go to Capital Classics this year, so that may
I
be
would love to do that.
Yeah.
I think it would be so much fun. I mean, I
Right.
would love it.
right.
The
we'll probably
few
get some
tournaments
people
I've
to meet
been
you.
to, I've so enjoyed it. And of course, there's so many new people and all that,
Yeah.
but I still know enough people that they know me too. We can still, I would enjoy it.
Right.
And I think Capital Classics would be wonderful to go to.
Right.
Only thing I have a problem with going to a tournament
Mhm.
is sitting there and watching.
Yes, I know.
I hate it. I hate it.
She
That's
needs to
not
be active.
me.
No.
I want to go do. Let me help. Let me do something.
Oh, well,
Yeah,
that
that's
makes sense.
her. Next thing I know, she'll be well
You know.
because when you went with us, you went one year to Capital Classics with me and Aaron and Jacob, and you came just because I haven't been here to these NASCAR tournaments in so long. Let me just go. Like, all right, and that was the only time I remember you like not doing, and you were freaking out, like not.
I couldn't. I can't handle that.
Yeah,
Dennis Brown, give me something to do.
yeah.
I love, just like for Jeffrey's tournament that's coming up, I would love just to be the greeter, just
Right.
standing there as everybody's coming in and just greeting them.
Yep.
I mean, to me,
We'll have her
is-
do.
Good at that.
that is exciting.
Listen, you put in so much work at the Grand Slam Open. I don't want you to have to do all that you did before. So I'm trying to keep you out of it because I know how wild it like.
Yeah, I am wild.
You'll be in
I
the
do like
hospital for a week after that or something.
week afterwards. I usually was in
Yeah.
the hospital afterwards, so sick.
Yeah.
Yeah, true. That's a true story, Alex. I'm not lying.
So dehydrated, running around, going crazy.
But I really, I really
Wait, did you
love-
like intentionally dehydrate yourself because you're like, I can't drink too much water because I don't have time to go to the bathroom?
bathroom? That's true. And
Because I remember doing that to myself, like, Jeff, like when you run like school, like you'll go do the parades and things like that.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And I would be like, I'm not drinking water because I know I can't afford to have to go in the middle of a parade.
Correct. No, you're
But
right.
then you forget.
No, I didn't intentionally do it, but it got where everybody, competitors, the judges, everybody knew, give Mama Doss that water, give her that water, give her that water. Every time they saw me, somebody's handing me a water because they knew it was, So,
All right. Last thing, share the story of, I think it's 2001. Yeah, 2001 Bluegrass Nationals. Do you remember Brian Plimple is fighting the local guy? I'm trying to remember his name. And were you scorekeeping? I believe you were scorekeeping. And that was when it turned out into a big brawl. And all I remember is I was on the outside of the ring with all of Brian Plimple's students because we were all really close. And I see my dad throwing people out of the way to get to you to make sure that you were all right. Because do you remember, like, Brian? This is what, like, it was the runoff to get to the grand champ to get to the fight, right?
Right.
So Brian had won.
Would it?
No. It was a local team, and
it got real ugly.
It got really
ugly. And it got so many people involved.
Yeah, and they had a school. They had a school like 20, 30 people right there hovering over the ring, right?
Right there around.
Brian finishes and like does his back fist and falls on top of the guy. Well, when that happened, one of the students had a wooden nunchuck and hit him with the nunchuck. Okay, and then from there, it went crazy. And Ninja is over there. Chris Rodriguez is picking
It
people
was
up.
crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. And
And
so
but Daddy
Mom,
freaks out.
middle of it.
So
Yeah. And yeah, go ahead and say that. Yeah.
my husband freaks out if he thinks something's going to happen, okay, to one of us. So he automatically is throwing people out of the way, trying to make sure I'm okay sitting there in the middle of all this, you know. And but went on. It was something that happened that kind of went on for the whole evening because they were mad. Then everybody's tempers were up. And so
'Cause
everybody was
They
really
DQ'd both
these-
of them, right? They ended up
Huh?
DQing both of
yeah,
them. I think
they were
yeah,
DQ'd. Yeah.
DQing both of them. And it was for the
Um,
heavyweight division, I believe.
Yeah, for him, Brian, it was heavyweight. It was
Yeah.
funny though. I will tell you one story that we were at Arnold Schwarzenegger tournament. Okay,
Which
and
Don't start this, man.
so we're
I wanna hear
there.
it. Keep going.
I'm scorekeeping. Okay, and
What year are we talking?
oh God,
96.
what was it? 96. Okay, I was thinking 97. But so Jeffrey's in there fighting. Okay. Well, the center is
Oh, it's always Jeff.
none other than who's the center?
Sean Sharkey.
Yep, John Sharkey. Okay.
John Sharkey's your center?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're in there. They have these bars around the ring, not like
Yeah.
a curtain bar, but a couple of bars. You know, like they use it in movie sets and stuff to knock people, you know, keep them off of the
You
ring.
mean like the velvet rope?
Like
Oh,
guardrail.
no. The heavy stuff, the heavy metal.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
you
picking
know
up
what I'm talking
now.
about. Okay. So that's around it. Jeffrey all of a sudden starts having an asthma attack. Well, I can see that.
Well, I got hit pretty good, so yeah.
You got hit.
I'm not,
Yeah,
gonna, I'm not gonna make it like it was. I got hit with a good
you
punch,
got hit.
right?
Yeah. And so he's starting to going down, and Sharky starts it anyway.
But he's like in the
I
moment.
put
of
my
the
hand
attack.
on him, like, hey, yeah. I remember
Well,
that.
my husband goes
Flips
through
out.
the metal things, pulls it,
Ah.
goes up the Sharky. Now, you know
Yes,
John Sharky.
Like he
You
just
know-
like ran through, like he was running through a hurdle, not hurdling it,
Oh,
and just ran
yes.
through it.
Yes.
Yeah.
You pay attention to my son. He's having an asthma attack. Now,
Yeah,
Roy
but-
doesn't go to Jeffrey and see if Jeffrey's okay. He's going after Sharky.
Exactly. And that's what was funny is Charlie like, well, take care of him then.
I
Yeah.
know. Take care of him then. I was sitting there going, this is not happening. This is not happening.
I would be the bystander going, this is happening.
Yeah. Oh, yes. It was something.
The thing
Shoot,
is
that
that
was a time.
people in our own network have shared this story, but didn't know it was me. So now they know it's me.
Oh, now
So-
they know. Okay.
Oh,
That's
man.
funny.
Yeah.
Oh,
So I was trying to
well,
keep that one secret. But yeah.
I've enjoyed it. Okay, Alex, you got any question?
No, but it's so funny because I was just thinking, what would my mom have done? Because I got a very similar story.
Okay.
And then she chimes in and goes, I would have done the same.
Same
Yep.
thing. Right.
Yep.
Exactly.
Well,
yeah.
I actually have a very similar story for something that my mom did. All right. So this is
Oh, right.
one I won't forget either. So this is the one, Mom, this is the one I was talking about. So this was 2005. We're at the Diamonds. I'm fighting and I'm okay. I'm pretty good. I'm okay. I can't remember who won. That was probably Jason Verrilli who won the division. Probably over Elias and I. All right. All right. He won the ring that year, so that checks out. All right. So anyway, no, that was actually how it went down. All right. So I'm having a really good fight. I'm beating, God, I can't remember this kid. His name's Daniel, someone from Canada. All right. He's a very good fighter. I remember feeling like this kid's way more skilled than I thought. All right. I'm up on him. And I don't know, one of these fluke things. I don't know how this happened. He throws a hard fast side kick. Hand is up, hits my hand. For some crazy reason, my elbow doesn't move
Boom.
and it dislocates my elbow. Right now, it looked like my arm just like flat back, right? Which is what it did. But then it like, boom, like flopped when it went down
Oh.
low. I'm like, whoa, what
Oh
was
my
that?
goodness.
And I like couldn't like pick my arm up. And I had to like with my other hand pick up my arm, put it on my chest, and like call a timeout. And Muhammad Jahan Vash, great center at the time. It was fantastic. Loved him. He could see because I kind of like flopped in his direction. And he goes, oh, timeout. And then I just immediately hit the floor. So incredibly painful.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
And he's like, are you all right? Now, when I hit the floor, I'm like, kind of like went down to my knees. But then I'm like, oh my gosh, this hurts so much that I just rolled on my back. So Muhammad kind of comes to like, what the heck is wrong with you?
Right.
Similar thing to what Roy did, only here comes a 5'3" Sicilian crazy woman, right? Coming in, and then she's just yelling at everyone. And then Muhammad is there, and then she's like, no, that's my son. I got it. It's my son. I got it.
Right.
Like, okay, right? And
Good mama. Good
typically
mama.
would be like, you got to get back. But like she basically just scolded him for doing his job. That he was like, all right, never mind. Guess I'll just step back. So after the whole thing is done, my mom is she's so Americanized that you can tell she's not from here, right?
Okay.
But sometimes you can't pick up that she's Sicilian, right? And this is an exact point. So Muhammad was like, Alex, I didn't know your mother was Persian. Muhammad's Persian. And I'm like, I guess neither did I, because she is definitely not Persian. And he's like, going down the list. He's like, she from Turkey? And I'm like, no, she's not from Turkey. What are you talking about? Right? And we had this like back and forth conversation. Meanwhile, my arm is like,
Arm is killing you.
I somehow come back and win that match, right? Jason Burley won, right? It didn't matter. Jason Burley. Shout out to Jason. He's in the chat right now, too.
Yeah.
Right?
My buddy.
But that was great. That was one.
You know,
we already shared Jason all
paint
your
a
time.
picture of like, if you didn't know who Patrice is, that's a great picture of Patrice.
There you go. That's right. Well, you know, I've probably embarrassed. The Lord put me on this earth to embarrass my children, and I'm real good at it. Okay, real good at it. And Jeffrey will tell you, I've embarrassed him many a times at these tournaments.
Yep.
Putting people in their place.
I mean, we already talked about earlier, Albedo, like you ran up on stage in the middle of our nighttime finals, you know? I mean, it happens,
Oh, yeah.
Pick up a fight. So, yeah.
Oh, yeah. You don't do that to my boys' tournament. How dare you? How dare you make a scene?
Oh, man. Well, Mom, I love you. And thank you for joining us. And
Alex, I do want to tell you, I have been wanting to be on this show for 5 years. So
we've talked
I
about
just
it.
We're just doing it now.
So I'm glad I got to be on it. Okay.
And we'll have to do it again. There's more. I think there's more to share.
Okay. I really have enjoyed it. Okay. So y'all have a great
I enjoyed you
evening.
coming on. I hope this is not the last. I think we tried to do this before, and Mom, I'm gonna out you now because I think you couldn't make it the one of the times we
It
wanted.
might have been I was in the hospital or something.
Yeah. Well, there was that, and then you had just had your either your shoulder or knee or something like that.
Something. Yeah.
No, I think that's right because I remember we did have this conversation, Jeff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
but my mom couldn't. We gave her the link, and she's like, "I'm locked out of my email. I can't get it." And I'm like, "The email's not the only point where you can access it. Here, let me send it here." And then no, she's not told what to do, right?
Well, I hope that I will get to come to Capital Classics and get to see a lot of people and hug a lot of people because I'm a big hugger. So, and they all know that. So I will enjoy it.
Yes, ma'am. Well, love you, Mom.
Love you too. Y'all have a nice night.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
All right. So that was fun. A little embarrassing for me, but I knew what I was getting into,
She
right?
was tasteful and
Oh,
embarrassing.
I know. I'm just kidding. Um, what's going to be funny to see if she can figure out how to get out of this. Just exit out of the. Oh, you did it. Good job. That's honestly the most hilarious part of doing the show when we bring people on is because you can't see the
I can't
people
see
that
back.
are waiting. But so sometimes it takes some people 20 minutes, 30 minutes. They don't know how to get out of the program. It's so funny. All right. So before we go, I just want to give, and we're going to get into our list. All right. Give a shout out to the Destin Open and also the Infinity Nationals. Both had big tournaments, great tournaments. I talked to Joey Perry today about how good the event was. And maybe we'll get some, one of those guys to put the results in there. Infinity Nationals is always just growing and growing each and every time.
Yeah.
So both of these events are doing great things for the sport with certified judges, with just very well ran events and fun, right? So,
Oh, it's hard
and
to be more fun than the Infinity National Championships.
yeah, well, I mean, yeah, both places. I mean, think about it. That's fun. Then you're talking about on the beach at Destin. I mean, so either way, man, both these guys are awesome. Yeah, Java, that's great. Thank you, my friend. All right,
I
and the next thing though, I want to share though, guys, because this is something that's coming up and it's a big thing. So June 1st is going to be an online seminar to support Keem Walker. So Ronald George is kind of the one heading this thing, and I think he was in the chat before. If you could put in the link for that, Ron, sir, or someone that can put the link in that in our chat here. June 1st, I believe I'm right. Online seminar for Hakeem Walker. We got, if people don't know, he had a kidney transplant, so he has, some financial things that come up like always. So we're going to go out there and support this guy. It's going to be a 4-hour-long seminar with people like Jotty Tension, okay, Jesse Ray, Haley Glass, Alex Mancias, who else? Willie Hicks, Regina Thompson. So lots of great people that are going to be involved in this. I saw it today. It starts at 10. And now once I saw the page, I realized what Ronald was telling me he needed me to call about. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't get to call him back this week. So, but he's got it all set. And again, any way that we can help with that, go and support this amazing guy. We all love Hakeem Walker and everything that he's going through and his support and his team and his family. So continue to support that.
Keem Walker is a smart fighter.
Yes.
Great person, good coach, just all around great martial artist, just a really solid dude, right? That,
Right.
yeah, if he's going through something like this, who better to help than someone like that?
Right.
So this is gonna be fantastic. And the lineup of people for the seminars is great. You pay top dollar for one of those guys.
Right. I
So
think Ryan is doing it as well. So yeah, it's going to be great, man.
yeah.
Gonna be-
So chip in and throw it to, and it's not just like, here, wouldn't this be great? I got an extra, $200 and we can get, if you did have an extra $200 and then you can get all these people, but now that $200 goes towards a guy that we just all talked about. I mean, I think there's that's a no-brainer. Take
Right.
part in it, and it's a donation. So donate. It doesn't have to just be a set dollar amount. Donate.
Right. And so we got that going on. We also are right at the point of hitting the first point of our goal for the Kickstarter for the WMAC Masters. So guys, I think we have maybe $200 left till we hit that first goal. So support that as well for the future of our industry and what we love. So I think next week we'll have Carmichael on to talk some more about that. But go out and support that. I know the Kickstarter.
I'll tell you what. If the links are here, someone will donate that 200 tonight. That's what's gonna happen.
Oh yeah.
Someone's gonna be a hero. Come on, hero. Where are you? And they're gonna take care of that and knock it out.
All right. So here we go this week. So last week, of course, we didn't have a top 5 because we had a top 25 and it was wild and crazy. And if you guys just got on, I'd removed all my bandages from from all the shots that were fired and the messenger messages I got, personal messages I got, people asking me why someone was ahead of them. It was funny. So yeah, so it's wild. But all right, best jump kicks. And here's the deal: jump front kick. How many jump front kicks do we see at tournament?
1,000
right?
day.
And I tell you what, man, this is one of the hardest ones to create a top 5 for, because and I don't really mean to put this in a bad way, but like, they're just ones that like don't stand out though. It's just there and it's there, right?
It was so eye-opening digging into this technique, because when you and I both thought about, let's have this move, we both thought of the same person.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh wow, this thing's gonna get great. And then upon digging, it's not that great.
Right.
Because that's not saying everybody does a bad jump front kick.
No.
It's just that it's like, okay, I don't think that it's any different than anybody else I see.
Right.
Throughout, if you go to a tournament, a few tournaments that happened last weekend, see a jump front kick. I don't think that anyone's jump front kick was any different than anybody else's that whole weekend. And it's probably the case, right? This move is even more alarming in that you could take an entire year, and I don't think anybody's jump front kick is going to be any different throughout that entire year. You take a decade, and it might not be any different. It's a move that's like, wow, that's a really good, solid move, but it's just kind of a filler. Right? It's almost like the jump front kick is almost just like a spin chop punch. Like, it's just there.
In some forms, yeah. Now there are some, and again, so because I took that personally as a competitor, I tried to find ways to make it different, right? And so I'm just going to share some of my honorable mentions, and honestly, some of these are because of the way they made them different. Okay, so I got, and from talking to Carmichael today, Lyle Boniga, who was one of his students and one of my best friends growing up. He had an amazing jump front kick. All of his kicks, he could stick them, and make it. And again, when he was at his best, he was probably 11, 12, 13, right? So a young kid sticking an awesome jump front kick, okay? Another one that stands out to me, and honestly, it just hit me, Gemma Nguyen had a beautiful jump front kick. And, like the way that it just popped and stuck out there, and it literally was like when she jumped in there, it was over her head. And that was a beautiful jump front kick.
The other thing about the jump front kick that's important, and I know that competitors know this now. Like, I 100% know that they all know this, but it is the hand placement as well. Where your hand placement is. Because if you just jump up and you have your hands like you're in a fighting stance, your jump front kick is going to look like trash, right? But like Gemma's, as an example, Gemma knew it, so she would take that lead hand, throw it down, other one would come up by the chin, would lean into it. That way, not only did she get it above her head, she would accentuate that even more.
She would do it. Well, one of the people that are on my top 5, she would do it that way, like the way he would do it. And I'll explain that in a little bit. But two that did it differently. Okay. And honestly, one is Butch Marks, and Butch Marks did the first switch jump front kick where he did a jump front kick, kicked, and then recoiled it back, right? And landed on his knee like this. And this was in like 95. All right. And so that was very different. No one did it like that. Everyone did, a jump front kick the way. And so he did that, and then he only did maybe one season. I took that and did a combo of it after that as a tiebreaker, because back then we would tie, and you have to do something different with your form. So I did like a jump split kick into a jump front kick landing there. Years later, I said, I really like this. How am I going to make this stand out for me? So I said, I'm landing into a split. So one of my favorite combos, and Tim tells me to this day that one of the best things he saw was when I would do the jump front kick into the split, right? And yes, the Larry Lamb one, we'll get into that too. Would do the jump front kick and I would recoil it into a split, right? And I actually had two ways of doing this, where I would do the jump front kick normal, kind of how you extend. And instead of spinning out to a chop punch, I would spin and land into a split facing the other way. That was a
Which
fun. Yeah. And
hard.
then the jump front kick recoil into a split, which is really hard. So those kind of became two of my favorite ones. And so I just put that on there, not because I do not have the hops of some of these guys, but I feel like technique wise, because of who I learned it from, John Valera, I had, a great jump front kick for that. But those guys, and Larry Lamb, yes, Larry Lamb, the way he did his jump front kick looked almost like a split kick, but or like a flare kick, but he would pull the ball of the foot back like a front kick, and it was beautiful. So, all right, do you want me to go with my top 5 since I'm
Go to
already
your top 5.
All right, so David Douglas had a beautiful jump front kick. He did it out of a lot of different ways. His was beautiful. Number 4 is one that kind of like he was the next version of the person who I think is number 1, is because he got so high. And his jump front kick, and he's one of the most athletic people, and that's Chad Cannon. Chad Cannon had a beautiful jump front kick. He would jump up, launch himself in the air, just like how I put him on the list for the jump split kick. Chad Cannon's jump front kick, beautiful. Number 3, honestly, 1, 2, and 3 to me all changed the way or had a way of inspiring people to do jump front kicks. And so number 3 is John Valera, who I think in a lot of ways is the best at the version that we see today. He's the one that did it. He's the one that really with the hand, the low block down and the guard here or here and turning your hip into it. Also, I mean, which the drill that he taught all over the world in seminars of doing your shuffle front. And then what a lot of people would do, and they would do the shuffle front and then put both feet together facing forward and stay square and jump straight up, which is great. Or a lot of people at the time would do a shuffle front kick, step up, and then do the jump front kick with the other leg.
Which is okay if you're going to put both feet forward.
Okay. But the way he would do it would be the shuffle front step, and then your back leg would actually step over your front leg. So you're getting almost like a pop jump front kick. So you're getting that extra twist from your back leg, kind of like you're throwing a roundhouse kick, and which made it where you could stick it and then you spin out of it almost in the air into the chop punch. It made it so much smoother, so cleaner, right?
Because didn't he go left foot to left foot?
Yeah. Yeah.
He went left foot skip front or shuffle front to left front in the
That's
air.
what I'm saying. Yeah. Yeah.
And a lot of guys that wanted to do it like what John did would go like what you just mentioned, skip front with the left and then jump front with the right, but going in the same direction almost. So that's where they tried to do it like John, but John did it different.
You lose a lot of the momentum if you don't use the same leg. And so I go right foot. And that's just the way I was taught for years. And a lot of the seminars that he was starting to do, like Diamond Stuff, I was his assistant and I helped a lot. And I was teaching everyone how to do it across the room. So, all right, number 2. And man, it's just like I watched this video of his form the other day from the 80s. And Charlie Lee's jump front kick is just freaking phenomenal, right? And again, I mean, just the height, the perfect just technique, everything, right? And he just launched himself all the way up in the air. It was beautiful. And then number 1 to me is the most dynamic jump front kick in history, and that was Jason Tangsten Borelli. I mean, it's just, and again, if you want to break it down like technical wise, okay, technical, maybe it's not there. Because he would do something that literally I would tell people, please don't ever do that. But it made sense, right? He would do his jump front kick and he would actually turn his head down, right? Like this, and then kick to where it was over his head. But that extra little turn, even though technically it doesn't make sense, it made it so much more dramatic. Kind of like when you see people do the twist kick and they kind of snap their head to the side too to make it look like, it was kind of like that, but it was just so much more dynamic, man. All right, do we have a
similar one.
Yeah.
I'm messing with something here. Okay. So we have some similar. I have some you didn't mention. You had some I didn't mention. But speaking of mentioning, on my honorable mention, I also have David Douglas. Okay. That was your number 5.
Yeah, that was my number 5.
All right, I have him as my honorable mention. Some other ones I have James Solis, right?
And of course,
I
yeah.
like the way he did his because he would do it kind of like we talked about when we do the jump double front kick or the split, where he would stick. He would just stick and hold. All right.
Yep.
Steven Torres had a really good one. as well.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah,
good
that's digging deep, isn't it? That was good.
Yeah.
Right. These next two are from different eras, and they're almost mirror images of each other. And that's Anthony Murata and Mike Chanaranabut. All right.
one. Okay.
Those
Yeah.
two, like Anthony Murata is just a better version of Mike Chat, right? And just doesn't get the credit for it, right?
No.
Mike
no.
Chat's signature thing was he was a phenomenal standing kicker and was great with his comma techniques. And I believe Anthony Murata was all of those things. It was just a little bit better, right? Anthony Murata didn't change the game like Mike Chat did, all right? Now, when we get to number 5.
All
Number
right.
5, I have Jeff Ikajiri, right?
Oh, yeah, that was a great one.
That's another one digging deep, right? But it's very good. Jeff Ikajiri, I think just about any martial arts technique, he's just completely solid, right?
Yeah, I think if when we do a 360 round or a tornado variation, he'll be in there. I mean, his tornado, like split tornado, like round to me, like flare, is one of the best I've ever seen of all time.
Well, and that's one of the things because Jeff competed primarily before the year 2000. So there wasn't the open forms and like traditional. It was kind of like there was the American hardstyle division, right?
Yeah, but he
Right.
won the Korean division in '99.
And would also do the Korean division. So there was like, which is kind of like you almost kind of had to do the same form, but you couldn't just do like you couldn't do an extreme form today and win that, right?
Right,
Like you
right.
probably would, but it would certainly be frowned upon because the way you're supposed to execute that form is you're supposed to have amazingly impeccable rock solid technique.
Right.
So Jeff Ikajiri, they're number 5. Number 4, I have Steve Terada. All right. Now, Steve Terada, the reason I loved his is because he would pull. My foot doesn't work that way where I can either like point all the time or sometimes I can pull the toes back and make it look awesome. Steve would do it and would always get the ball, the foot pointing. So I liked his.
Yeah.
If we're talking about a move for Steve Terada, jump front kick was certainly not tops for him.
No,
But he had a really good jump front kick.
He had a good one. He had a good one. Well, and see, for me, when I put myself on like the honorable mention one, I talked about the creative side,
That's a good point.
but my traditional jump front that I do in OG, I just know for me, like that, like I pull the toes back and I make it strong. And to me, actually, even though my side kicks and standing kicks, to me, the jump front kick is actually the most important part of that form that stands out, that makes me stand out, I think. Because
highest risk for failure.
Well, there's that, and there just isn't that many that have that type of kick in there, right? So
True.
So it really
when you do your side kick in your form, you don't have a high risk for failure because of the way you do your side kick. Right. So
yeah, go ahead.
number 3, I have your number 1, Jason Borelli. And for the same reason, it's hard to be like, how am I not putting this guy number 1?
Yeah. Yeah.
I've never my 2 eyes have never seen a person jump higher. That dude could dunk a basketball with his foot.
And I've seen it. So, well, I mean, not seen it, but I've seen him do his jump front kick through the hoop. Like, so he would hit through the net and then come out. Yeah.
That's freaking wild.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I
mean, listen, let me tell you out. Do you know where this hoop was? It was in Conroy's dojo. He had a basketball hoop in his karate school back in the day.
What?
Yeah, we were up there for a training session, a camp. He had like a basketball. I'm like, what? Why is there a basketball goal? You know,
I've heard folklore about these training sessions, and I've also heard folklore of that kick. And every time I hear about that, I'm like,
it's crazier.
What madman wants to put their foot through a hoop for multiple reasons? Like, I'm like, you're gonna get hung up and then end up falling completely onto your head, right?
It's like that video that went viral of like, I think maybe it was like in a dorm or like the football player that did a jump front kick and hit the this out like the ceiling tiles
Exit
out.
sign or the ceiling tiles.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He's-
but you know what? Sometimes you can get like, I think what it, but like most residential ceilings are 8-foot ceilings.
Right.
Okay,
That's true.
so it's misleading, right?
Well, yeah, like it sounds really cool that I kicked, a light out of that party, you know what I mean? But it was a basement, it was a short ceiling, but still, it was kind
You
of cool.
did what did you wait? Say that again.
Shared this one so many times where I broke up, I stopped the fight. These guys were trying to
Oh yeah,
I'm a
I remember
fan.
now. I remember.
and I
now.
just said, man, I'm sick of this. And I just roundhouse kicked the light out. Boom. And I was like, whoa, all right, stop. And it
That's
made everyone stop for a little bit and calm down. All right. Go
My
ahead.
number 2 is exactly what we talked about. John Valera. John Valera is number 2. And I think that I'm having Charlie Lee number 1 because Charlie Lee made it look so good, but Charlie Lee did it and didn't contort his body. I love it. I think the way John does it is the best.
Right.
Charlie Lee just jumped chest
Straight
out,
up is- Yeah.
chest out,
Yeah.
foot still above the head,
Yeah.
eyes locked forward, chin up, and then like, how do you make it look like what we're trying to do? But we're like twisting and contorting to make it look like that. He does it chest up and chin up. You're
Yeah.
like, damn, that's good.
Right.
All right.
Yeah.
So I have him number 1. That's the top 5 jump front kicks. That was a fun time.
That was fun. I didn't know where we were going to go with this one, but I think it worked out great. All right, man. So we had a great show, guys. If y'all didn't get to check it out, go back, watch it from the beginning, share it, tell everyone what's going on. We got lots of good news coming up soon. We will have more WMAC Masters news. Again, June 22nd, I have Grand Slam experience. So if you guys want have questions about my tournament, go message me, check it out. We'd love to have you guys there. That's Sunday afternoon. And we got a great show for everybody.
First goal is Matt.
here
Look at
we go.
that.
Cross the 5K mark. Here we go. All right, the minifigs are going to be happening. And thank you all so much for the support and helping us take these first steps and bringing back WMAC. Next goal, we're going 30K. Start casting our new WMAC Masters. All right.
Somebody's going to end up donating big. I'm predicting somebody's going to go, listen, I love this so much. Here's your goal.
Yep.
They're just going to take care of it.
Yep.
All right.
Awesome.
What's our move? What's our move for next week?
Oh, next week. So we need a fighting one.
I've got a couple ideas.
We already did axe kicks for fighting?
We did do axe kicks.
Yes.
I've got a couple of ideas. Tell me what you
Actually,
think.
I have my whole list in my notes of every single one we've done so far. So
Okay. I have it as well. What do you think about? Tell me what you think. Listen, at one point we're gonna do top 5 blitzes. I'm not mentally prepared to do that yet.
No, me neither.
People don't understand. And you might listening to this go, "Oh, I could name it." You don't understand when you got to put your face out there and you got to put your list and rank them. Like it's stressful. But here's one: check punches.
Mm,
You didn't seem very thrilled about that.
that's just a hard one, but yeah. All right.
You need a hard one. Yeah, they're all hard, Jeff.
I know. All right. Check punch. Check reverse punch.
Yeah, it's fighting. Check punch.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying. I mean, there's some people that used to check back fist, or check, so I'm just saying check backhand, like reverse punch, right?
Yeah. Is that
All
what
right.
we're doing?
Check reverse punch. Let's go.
All right, we're into it. That's what we're doing.
All right, guys. Anything else we got? Man, this is a fun show.
Oh, I'm bummed my mom couldn't jump on.
I
Mom, you should have been here.
I know.
You didn't want. You know what though? Maybe the electricity would have blown out if she would have got on though. Have you ever met and had a conversation with my mom before?
No.
If you're not prepared, it's exhausting. All right. And I only say this because people do think that like I'm a lot. And I understand that sometimes I actually absolutely can be. I came from somewhere.
That's right.
I
That's
came
right.
from somewhere,
That's
and it's
right.
not my German Irish dad. All right. Well, it was, but the animation is not. You know.
Right. So I this weekend I was in Maryland teaching seminars and private lessons, and at Tommy Lee's school out there, East Coast Martial Arts. Amazing, I mean, program, huge facility, awesome, and I learned so much. This guy is just a martial arts business genius, and also has had great students and everything. So I am loving that. Also, this weekend is my daughter Sarah's graduation from college from William and Mary, and then also the same week is senior night for our son Sean's senior night for soccer. So it's a lot going on, and then and he's going to be playing soccer over in England next year after high school. So yeah,
Wait, where?
England. I know.
Damn.
So we got a lot going on, bro.
Yo, I got something wild. Listen to this.
All right, let's go.
So every weekend, Third Shift DJs is booked with multiple weddings that we've got. We've got more, and we just took on another guy. Okay. So Friday, I'm officially, for the first time, officiating someone's marriage.
Whoa.
Yeah, this guy.
Somebody we know?
Huh?
Somebody we know?
No, not yet.
Oh, okay. I just didn't know if it was someone we knew, like a martial artist that someone asked you to officiate.
No.
Oh, okay.
You know, and they would, and I ask them occasionally, like, hey, when you have your officiant, this is what we're gonna do, is with that, yada da da, and da da da. And they happen to drop in, they're like, yeah, we still haven't gotten an officiant. We just gotta find someone that we click with. And I'm like, hey, I'm a couple clicks away, just so you know. And they were like,
Chris, we asked everyone if they were at one of those events. Go ahead and put the results down. Again, I did not have.
Of Infinity.
Yeah.
Colin O'Brien took a double grand.
Yes, he did. He did. Yep. So, and actually, I think Noelle won the fighting grand.
I believe she did. Yeah.
I watched some of her videos. She looked awesome, man. So, again, great event. I was, like I said, I was in Maryland. I drove back. I had a crazy Saturday night. I drove 5 hours back, and then got home, got into bed, and got the phone call that there was that son on the way from prom to after prom hit an animal, so had to go and or tried to avoid an animal. Yeah, so driving. Huh?
What was the animal?
I think it was like a beaver or something crazy. I don't know. What? Wow. Yeah, I know. So there's a lot of stuff like that happened. So I was up really late taking care of that. So I didn't get to see any of the live stream. So, but it's been a while.
When I grew up in Minnesota driving, I am one of the only people I know who did not hit a deer. Right. That is no exaggeration. Everyone in my family has hit a deer. All of my friends I know have hit a deer, right?
Maybe it was a groundhog, Mom. Maybe you're right. Maybe it was a groundhog. I don't know.
I'm telling you, if it was, I don't care what it is. The little thing, I'd smoke that, man.
Right, but we had a small, like it was an Audi, so like it was low to the ground, so like it was just.
The Audi is expensive too.
And it's.
And he wrecked it, trying to not wreck it.
Yeah. So.
What did he do?
Nothing. I don't. That's not.
Well, he crashed it.
No, he didn't crash it. No, it really looked like it wasn't that big of a deal, but it hit the radiator. So yeah, we're dealing with a lot with this vehicle now.
There goes $6 grand.
Yeah.
Hey, if it's any consolation, this is something nutty. It's not the same amount. All right. So I just bought this vehicle not that long ago because I had that car accident, right? So I have a very, very large vehicle. I have the largest vehicle that's on the road, pretty much. A GMC Yukon XL. They're massive vehicles, right?
Right.
So anyway, I get a new one, and like something tires down. I'm just driving and I'm like, oh, I got to get some gas. And then, on the new cars, you just get like a sensor. It'll say, oh, tire pressure low. Well, this one gave me the sensor way too late. Says, oh, tire pressure is at 8 PSI. 8? Aren't we supposed to be like 32?
Right.
What
Right.
happened to all the other notifications I could have, should have got? 8? What? Right? Now,
That's
luckily,
hilarious.
I can see the gas station. So I'm like, shh, that's where I'm going to stop driving. What? And sure enough, I'm on a rim. I'm like, come the frick on. Right? And I'm
Mm.
like, what would be the point of doing this? I mean, all right, tow this over to go get, let's go get all new tires. All right. Because then I look and they're all wrecked. So then I get all new tires.
Mm.
And then you got to, the rim. I make sure the rim doesn't crack. And it's
Yep.
a 22-inch rim that nobody has. Right. And you're like, hey, you kidding me, guy? Sucks. This
Yeah.
is two things I never want to do in life. I never want to get a new cell phone. I never want to buy a new car.
Yeah. Same. I
The
agree.
worst. The
They
worst.
are. They are the worst. All right. Let's go.
This has been another episode of Inside Scoop with Alex and Jeff. I am Alex Dingman.
I'm Jeff Doss. See you guys next week.